Right, welcome everybody to a Monday expert interview. It's so exciting to be back on and having all of you join us today. And remember, today is a day you can win a free International Builders Show ticket access pass. All you got to do is comment or type in hashtag IBS 2022. That's right, hashtag IBS 2022. Or join the conversation. Those are your chances to win, and we will draw that right at the end of the show. So today is going to be very interesting because we are thinking outside of the box. And what does this out-of-the-box thinker and inventor of folding homes know about housing affordability? What inspired him to design and build a first-of-its-kind accessory dwelling unit that changed the way we think about housing? Today we welcome Paolo Tiramani, founder of Boxable, on Dave Cooper Live, and we're going to discuss the future of housing and why we need more creative thinking to solve this global crisis. Also, we have to thank our sponsors. So, another creative thinker, Carson Holmquist at Team Stream Logistics. They are experts in high-stakes freight, the perfect choice for projects with timelines and a specific delivery sequence. Shipments with high complexity and unique constraints, the methods of construction need new transportation solutions, and they are up for the challenge. So if you are not familiar with Stream Logistics, please become familiar with Stream Logistics. They are using technology and they are doing transportation in a way that you have not seen. I promise you. Reach out to Carson Holmquist. Go to their website, streamlogistics.com. Check them out because it is not your traditional way of thinking when it comes to shipping and logistics. All right, so with that said, let's hop right into it today. We're going to cover a lot of ground in 30 minutes, and then we're going to do our drawing. Paolo, welcome to the show.
Nice to see you, Dave.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome to see you as well. I hope the weather is treating you well out in Las Vegas.
Always gloriously sunny and heavenly in Las Vegas, absolutely.
Oh, perfect. Well, we love it. I enjoyed my time last time we were there. Last time I was at Boxable. Last time I was there, the floor was just being finished on the setup. The manufacturing equipment was put in. There were supplies everywhere. The warehouse was full. There was full of people getting ready to start it up. And now you guys are in operation. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we're going to talk about how this concept came to be and housing affordability today. And then on Wednesday, we're going to join you again in the factory for an inside sneak peek of the production line and what's going on there. So stay tuned for that. Mark it on your calendars. We will be alive again on Wednesday. So with that said, we're going to hop right into it. What inspired Boxable, specifically the Casista model? And do you really believe that Boxable products can address the housing affordability crisis?
Yeah, absolutely to all of that. And I think I'll have to tell you a little story of how the product came to be. Prior to this, we had an IP licensing company, which is really just a fancy way of saying we would invent things and license them to industry for royalty. And we did rather well. We're in a whole bunch of different industries. So we really kind of cross-disciplined at that point after doing it for a couple of decades. And I wanted to become an operator in a space. It's one of those grass is greener things. And I thought, okay, well, if accountants can count, then inventors should be able to invent. And it shouldn't really matter what you're counting, and it really shouldn't matter too much what you're inventing. So the generation of the idea wasn't coming up with an idea. It was coming up with a problem. And we said, if we're going to be operators in a space, let's find a really, really big problem that we can address. And actually that took about a year to figure out what problem we should address. And the housing and the construction industry really stood out as being in a pre-industrial condition. So he said, wow, this is very interesting. This is something we can get our teeth into as sort of technologists, mechanical engineers, industrial designers, patent attorneys. That was our team. So we got involved, and probably took about another year to figure out what the problems were. Oftentimes you can save a lot of time by figuring out what the problems are ahead of time, and what the things that look like problems aren't significant problems. So we started off with, well, I'll call it a problem pie. Any pie you like, apple pie, I like pizza, and just divide it into slices to figure out what the problems were. And so we came up with the fact that housing was in a pre-industrial condition. We can talk a little bit more about that. And so we made it able to fit in a factory and ship anywhere. And that was really the gestation of it. And in terms of addressing a worldwide housing crisis, construction crisis, actually, absolutely, because we are the only post-industrial product that can fit inside a factory and unpack to 3 times its original size. But when it's built for shipping, it can ship around the world and around our country without any wide loads or special permits or anything of that nature.
Because of the design. And I want people to realize that, for one, Paolo, you were a builder using volumetric construction in Connecticut. Is that correct?
Not really. I was just your run-of-the-mill inventor, mechanical engineer, and industrial designer is my training. I did decide to build a rather large spec home on a piece of land I had, and it was actually a mansion. It was about a 12,000 square foot mansion, and I knew nothing about building construction whatsoever, so quite the opposite at that time. And I realized after interviewing builders that these guys were going to eat my lunch with change orders, right? I'm sure that the industry is very familiar with that. And so I said, I can't do that. I need a fixed cost. So I looked around at the modular folks. And so I got a fast education. I actually got in my pickup truck and visited about a half a dozen. There were quite a lot in the Northeast at that time. And I just got in and visited them all, got myself a fast education. Leaving these factories and getting close to these factories, I could often get stuck behind these very wide loads. And I think that was probably the germ of an idea there. And the builder that we eventually selected was Penline Homes, I think no longer in business, out of Pennsylvania. And I think, I can't remember, it was a while ago, but I think our boxes from them were about 15 foot wide. And we took up the wide load permits for the state of Connecticut. There were so many boxes for this mansion for 3 months. To 12 weeks, nobody else was able to ship a wide load. And I thought, wow, that's not really a solution, is it? And just as a point of comparison, those boxes, and they were great product, frankly, were 15 foot wide with a 9 foot ceiling. And we built a mansion and sold it for, I think, $5.4 million at that time. And the Boxable product is significantly superior, but it's not 15 foot wide. It's 20 foot wide on the short side, and it has a 9.5 foot ceiling. So, the Boxable technology definitely has the legs to do everything from affordable to very, very upscale homes. We would have built a significantly better home if we could have used Boxable technology back then. And I think, that just got the wheels turning in my head, I think.
So let me ask you this, and we're going to get into the specs and the sizing when we're doing our factory tour on Wednesday. But it sounds to me like eating pizza and coming up with strategic ways of I guess addressing the affordable housing crisis is something that there's a passion, and I see the passion with you and your son on how to do it. And when you say about the quality, I've seen the quality as well. I mean, this is not inexpensive materials you're using. You're using quality materials on these builds. But I do want to ask, you said 20 wide. Will these ship 20 wides, or do they unfold to 20 wide?
Yeah, exactly. So, on the quality side, by the way, just to address that very quickly, basically our homes are steel, concrete, and insulation. And we come out of the consumer product space. And believe me, the consumer product space, if you think of an iPhone or any consumer product, is really a much higher quality than standard building construction. So, right. And then in terms of the shipping, this was the fundamental. This was sort of the bear in the woodshed that we had to fix. The current industry that makes factory homes are effectively pre-industrial because they're using traditional building material. They're moving into a factory for those efficiencies, but they're bringing with them pre-industrial building materials. They're bringing hammers and nails and bits of wood, and they're building product that way, not taking advantage of the large-scale equipment and heavy lifting that a factory can provide. And when they're done, they've built something that's illegal to ship. They built things that are 14 foot wide, 12 foot wide, because nobody can live in 8 foot wide. And so that limits their business to a couple of hundred miles, 250 miles. And frankly, they can have a very fine business. And we know a bunch of people, you and I, that have very, very fine businesses with that model. But I've always been a mass production guy. The higher the volume, the better the quality of product, the lower the price, everybody wins. And I did not want to get involved if we couldn't have really a national at the very minimally, and hopefully a global solution. So shipping was the big one. And our laws pretty much around the world, actually, the metrics to remember are 8.5 foot wide and 13.5 foot off the tarmac, and 14 foot off the tarmac in Europe. So sort of a breakthrough aha moment we had is when our team analyzed what goes into a home. We realized that about 2/3 of it was empty space, and 1/3 of it was what we call dollar dense. Dollar dense means dense in labor and dense in materials like dishwashers and things like that. So we said, well, maybe we could have a sort of a half fixed, half panelized solution. And that's what we did. We came up with our core, which is about 6-7 foot wide. We can put everything in those cores including very generous stairs. And then the rest of the home is empty space. And we just unfold it like a box and fold it up. And talking again about that problem pie, I am Italian, so I guess, hey, pizza,
Gotta love some pizza.
The problem pie is very interesting as a tool because you solve one problem, it has a knock-on effect or value if you stick to your first principles. And that big problem of shipping yielded benefit after benefit. So we were able to build a core, fold the product down that ships 8.5 foot down the highway, 8.5 foot down the highway, and unpacks to 20 feet. Really quite remarkable. So what was the knock-on effect for that, apart from fixing the shipping problem in its entirety? Well, we ship for every truck we ship, it's like shipping 2.5 times the volume. So we've sort of fractionalized, not only can we ship legally without permits, it's like shipping 2.5, 3 trucks in one. So very, very, very valuable indeed.
It's funny, and I get questions, on the last interviews that we've done in the past from people all over the world asking if it's going to be available over the world. But before we, answer even that question, and I know that's one of the goals nationally, how are you dealing with, codes and regulations? How do you deal with that? That's got to be tough.
Yeah, fantastic. So again, we deal with a lot of legacy issues with Boxable because it's built for those codes are centered around regional, local, pre-industrial. Pre-industrial, by the way, just means it's not built in a factory; it's built in an open field. And the code issue is a big one, and it's sort of Byzantine. You have federal codes, you have and then you have state codes, and then beyond that, you've got local codes, and then you've got different classes of home. You've got stick-built homes, modular homes. You've got trailers, HUD homes, and we have to thread the needle through all of them. So we take both a long and a short view. The long view, frankly, is to address all of those markets, and the really long view is to write our own codes because we think even the best codes are really deficient as far as a consumer product is concerned. And to answer your question specifically, it's a problem because we have to go through state by state on the modular level, which we grab the highest code, and it's very, very difficult. So we're starting with California and Nevada and probably Texas for some reasons you can probably figure out, and we'll see how it goes, and then we'll apply more and more resources to that. And it's frustrating for us because it's frustrating for our customers because we can't deliver. What we can do, however, is we do have a sort of a short-term workaround that if we put them on our own trailers, and then they're not real estate, they're not fixed property, we can sell around the country. And I think that we don't mind doing that work. It is then it's a significant hurdle, and it becomes a barrier. It is and becomes a barrier to entry for others seeking to get into that space. So we've always taken, I'll say, not even a long-term view. We've always taken an eternal view of our product. We don't mind putting this effort in, but it does slow our roll. It does mean that we can't service all the customers today that we would like to service, and I'm sure that they would like to receive their casitas. So that is one of the big problems. And if you can imagine the automotive industry, if they had to face all those codes that I just described, it wouldn't be much of an auto industry. So we do require some consolidation at the federal level.
For sure. And, but going after it locally, California obviously is a big ADU market right now, so I'm sure Boxable is a hot ticket in the California market for sure.
Yeah.
Doing it on a local level, like you said, is a small way to gain ground, but, tackling that on a federal level is going to be a little bit different, I guess, when you go looking at the codes that way. So I wish you luck on that for sure. Next question, Paolo. Do you think others are addressing the housing affordability issue head on, or is Boxable on an island by itself?
Well, if we're on an island by itself, I think it's a tropical island because it's quite nice. It's quite nice being a Boxable. But seriously, I would say that yeah, there is innovation in the space. There's absolutely innovation, and a lot of very smart people in the space. And I would say it breaks down into the volumetric folks, and we know some of them. They're really great, really really smart people, really big factories, and I think. Their business model, again, as I mentioned earlier, is around serving a local market. And there's such a big need that it's just no problem having a factory of that size to serve just the local market. And then in terms of the housing affordability side of things, we have other movements like the tiny home movements. The tiny home guys love us because we're sort of mansion size for them. But I think that, for example, the tiny home movement, just very creative, looks great in pictures until you stand in it and you feel like, sort of a Goliath or something.
Right.
The homes are 8.5 foot wide. And, if I stretch out my arms, you can't see my hands, but that's 6 foot wide. I don't know. And the ceilings are very low. And I think the tiny home movement isn't because folks love the tiny home space. They've done a great job with it. It's just really an absolute cry for some kind of liberty, some type of control in their lives, some kind of freedom that can make their life affordable. So I think at best it's sort of a patch for folks, and it's not a solution. Any new technology cannot be less and cannot cost more per square foot. It has to be significantly faster, easier, better quality, more features, and key is, of course, a lower price. So, I don't want to say that there's nobody in our space. If you look at, the IP world, if you look at mechanical patents, there's a lot of folks that have tried this sort of thing, but they've tried it with a particular home style. So maybe they've made a beautiful A-frame home that you might find in Europe, or if you go skiing, and they're beautiful. But not everybody wants to live in an A-frame home. You have to create something that is architecturally neutral. We have done that with the building system beyond the casita, which is the underlying technology behind all of this. Unless you're an igloo, an Eskimo, not an igloo. Unless you're an Eskimo and you're living in an igloo, in a round space, with all due respect to Eskimos, I know we can insult everybody these days, but you're living in a rectangular, rectilinear box, and our largest building shells will be 40-foot clear span, 20 foot on the short side, 9.5 foot ceiling, cut holes in windows pretty much wherever you want, without headers, the need for headers, which are sort of transoms across the tops of windows and doors, and what can't you build with that? You can stack, connect, offset. So when I look at the marketplace, I see them looking at a smaller piece of the problem and building fantastic businesses for themselves. I mean, some very, very large businesses for themselves. So it's not necessarily a wrong way. It's just a different business model. We're just sort of at the genetic code level, I think, trying to address the problem and just take care of all the issues. So we don't see anybody in terms of competition, really. We're very good on the intellectual property as well. I think we have 60 mechanical patents right now. The company will eventually have hundreds. We file every couple of months. So we're really, I would say, a technology company, and we don't really see the other folks in the industry as innovators or technologists. But
I got a comment. You said 40-foot clear spans. I mean, that's you're not getting that in a traditional site built home. You're just not with that heavy steel or a heavy truss system to carry that weight load, and definitely not getting it in a modular format.
Yeah, right. No, you're going to have you're going to have walls in there. So the underlying technology are these building shells. The best way for the audience to think of them is as Legos that we all played with as kids. They come in three sizes. They will only ever come in three sizes. You've got the little square one,
Yeah.
and then the little rectangular one, and then the one in between that nobody really uses much, that one. So those three sizes for us is going to be 20 by 20 by 30 by 40. That's
Right.
it. And they are all laid out on a grid in a similar way that Lego bumps are laid out on a grid.
Mhm.
And if you stick to the grid, when you stack, connect, cantilever the units, everything lines up. All the electrical chases line up, the windows and doors line up. It really is a system that takes care of the heavy lifting for the consumer or the developer or their architect, and allows them to get on with the business of making money and turning projects much, much faster and lowering their costs. That's our goal. We're not registered as a charity. We are for profit, but we did start the company to do good works. We did start the company to fix a problem.
Mhm. So let me ask you this then. So your production line is full. I'm assuming you guys are still taking orders, because I know you were pre-selling prior to manufacturing on this. How many units are you able to put out the door currently, the way your manufacturing line set up, if you're able to share that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can share those. So we've got factory one up and running. For most eyeballs, it's a huge factory. We don't see it as that. It's 170,000 square feet. I think it's 4 acres under a roof. It's an eighth of a mile long. We give tours every day. It's a very exciting space. We have been live for I think about 3.5 months in terms of production, and I think that the first unit, it's called, some folks call it 0 to 1, when you go from nothing to production, 0 to 1, or manufacturing hell, basically. So for the first 2 weeks, we made one, and it wasn't bad actually. It all went together. Today, just a swift 12, 14 weeks later, we're making 2 a day, which is quite amazing. But for manufacturing, it's quite unimpressive. So we are making 2 homes a day. The goal for that factory was to make product every 90 minutes. I think we're going to beat that. I think we're going to get closer to making a home every hour. And even then, the capacity of the factory can make 3,000 or 4,000 units. Our order book is maybe 20 times larger than that. And we certainly can't take 20 years to deliver just on the order book we have today, which I consider mostly an expression of interest, sort of pre-order deal. So we do have significant plans to scale. I think we've figured out a way that we can, path that we can pursue to scale, and that's where we are right now. Just as another metric, an automobile, let's say a Ford F-150 truck, which is significantly more complicated than our casitas. There's one rolls off the production line every 60 seconds, So sort of we're in the business of unbelievable, I suppose. And when we see things like what Ford is able to do, now they got a bit of a head start on us. They got like 100-year head start on us, but still, I think we can catch up fast in terms of run rate.
I love it. We're in the business of unbelievable. Now that's a soundbite right there. I think it's awesome. All right, 2 more questions. One, are you only shipping in the United States? And because I get this question a lot, and I don't know how to answer it on our YouTube channel, which if you're not subscribed, go there and subscribe, please. But are you going to be shipping internationally anytime soon?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now we're fulfilling a government order for 156 units for the Department of Defense, which has been an absolutely great way for us to start production. They're a little bit more forgiving while we get our consumer grade product level. And unfortunately, it's not even Europe. And it's back to your question earlier about regional certifications and things like that. Yeah, we get a lot of inquiries from Europe. The Boxable scale idea for scale is we have factory one 170,000 square feet. We're actively looking now in I think in Texas and Nevada and other states for Factory 2. I think that's going to be probably in the 3 to 4 million square foot range, and I think we'll need several regional facilities within the US and overseas. Specifically to answer your question, I believe we'll probably pursue a franchise model. So, what does a franchise model look like? It means that it's like McDonald's. McDonald's are little burger factories all over the world. And I don't know if anybody's attempted to franchise a factory of this size, certainly not a housing factory. But again, with those 60 patents and the know-how that we're developing and the expertise that we're building, we will have our franchise book, which is the sort of a cousin to licensing, which I have expertise in, will be down to the washer. It'll be down to the colors. It'll be down to every factory must have a tour operator for internal tours. So we want folks to get the same product all over the world. We want folks to have the same experience when they visit the factory all around the world. And we're lining up very significant partners, very large public companies. And we can use their capital, their intellectual capital, their local knowledge of foreign markets, and we can dial in our product for those foreign markets. So sort of rather shamefully, I suppose, I've been in McDonald's all over the world, and in China and Italy, all over the place. And the chicken tastes different in China, and in Italy they have an espresso bar. They're just dialed in a little bit for the local flavor, literally, if you pardon the pun. And we can certainly do that when we go to those foreign markets. We may go to a market where our bedrooms are too big or too small, for example, and that local franchisee can tell us, and we can dial the product within the system, within the overall framework of what we're doing. So we do have plans to.
When do you? So, well, two things. One, I just got to say, 3 to 4 million square foot manufacturing facility. That's going to be an undertaking by itself, and I look forward to seeing that. But when do you foresee the opportunity for somebody to franchise with Boxable?
So just take a step back on that. So when you do development of any kind, you can choose to do it in series or in parallel. You can choose to do things one after the other, or you can do them all at once. If you do them in series, you're more sure-footed, you'll spend less money, but you will take a lot longer, and the opportunity might pass you. And then the other thing is, what's the scale of that opportunity? And if it's vast, you can't afford to do things in series. So right now we're doing things in parallel. And what does that look like? It means we make a lot of mistakes because we don't have all the answers from question A to apply to question B. And we throw out a lot of stuff. We throw out a lot of equipment. We won't deal with, we won't stand for any legacy issues in the factory. What does that mean? It means if we have a piece of equipment in the factory that is not best at what it does because perhaps it didn't work out or we've changed the process slightly, we won't endure it. We'll just toss it out and get another one. So in terms of, so we're doing things in parallel. We're doing everything at once. We are writing those franchise agreements right now. And we're talking to those folks right now. We are nowhere near. We're nowhere near franchising because we're not even clear on how to make the Boxables ourselves yet. It's an iterative process. And with the Boxable itself, we can't franchise until we've sort of glided. Is that a word? Glided down to a landing. And the landing is where we get the highest volume and the highest quality at the lowest price. I think that the building shelves themselves, when we apply automation and volume and the leverage with suppliers that gives us, I think that the price of our Boxable building shelves will be shockingly low. And I think that in terms of, when can we get franchises going? I would say maybe this time next year, we could look to maybe ink some of those first deals. We are doing one or two very early ones, which are, I would say, strategic franchises as opposed to sort of consumer grade ready franchises.
Perfect. Love it. All right, listen, everybody. We are going to be drawing a free International Builders Show 2022 Access Pass in just a few moments. We have one more question for Paolo before we get to that, however, and we will also get to all of your comments the best that we can as well. So just hang in there. We're only a few minutes away from that. So the last question, Paolo, and I put up the Boxable so people can see this here at the end, is, what advice would you have for traditional builders, manufacturers, or even some of the new entrants on how to do this, right? You're a solution, but you're not the overall solution for the world as much as we'd like to think it. It's a huge problem. And we need a lot of people thinking differently and building better. So what's your advice?
Yeah, well, I think it depends what you want to do, right? So I think that goes back to being very, very clear in your aims, what are your goals? Are your goals as a smaller builder developer, as a larger factory? So I think be very, very clear about your goals with you and your partners, and be very, very realistic. That would be absolutely number one. And assess your own skill sets and the skill sets of your team. And secondly, how are you capitalized, and do you have the capital to finish the race? Because otherwise it'll end in tears. So I think analyze exactly what you're doing, make sure you're well capitalized, and then once you've got those fundamentals in place, probably the most important thing, never, ever, ever give up. Never give up. When those, and this comes from sort of an inventor background, I suppose, that solution is there. That solution is there. And when that task seems, formidable and insurmountable, if you just keep your forehead to the wall and keep just pushing, typically you'll get through to the other side. Just never, ever, ever give up. And I think a lot of folks aren't ready to get into the business of business. They see the upside, but it's a tremendous amount of hard work. So you have to really look deep within yourself and say, am I willing to not see my friends, not see my girlfriend, not see my kids, my wife? Am I willing to really make my life this venture? And if the answer is no to any of those, maybe you shouldn't do it.
That's right. That's right. Well, listen, we appreciate it. Let's get to the audience. We do have some people that joined us. And listen, if you want a chance to win, you either have to type in hashtag IBS 2022 or join the conversation. Say hello. Let us know where you're joining from. Let us know if you have your own YouTube channel out there or a LinkedIn channel and you would like us to follow along. So let's see, who do we have here? Hey, we got Dr. Rebecca Reynolds. Hello, this is Dr. Rebecca joining from Chicago. Thank you for joining us. We call her the Good Doctor. The Good Doctor. We also have Sarah Elliott, excited for another great Dave Cooper Live episode, joining from Alberta, Canada. Very cool to see you today. Thank you for joining us, Sarah. Cooper Lane in the house. Good day, Cooper Lane from snowy Windsor, Ontario, Canada. Looking forward to the episode. So, I don't know, Paolo, are we going to be shipping these to Canada anytime soon? It's only across the border.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, we have a lot of friends in Canada. We'd love to ship there.
Hey, listen, this is somebody that you met at our event last week, Carson Holmquist, Dream Logistics, and a proud supporter and sponsor of Dave Cooper Live. If you don't understand logistics the way they understand it, you're missing out. These guys are doing amazing things, and they're using technology like it has not been used in the transportation business. So, Carson, thanks for joining us today. We really do appreciate you and your support, and I don't say that lightly. You guys are really amazing. It's cool stuff. All right, we got some Boise, Idaho action going here. Vikash, good to see you with us today. We got Greg Ugaldi, the immediate past chairman of the National Association of Home Builders. Great job today, Dave and Paolo. Let's get Jen back home feeling better. You guys are great. Yeah, Jennifer's still in Switzerland. The old COVID bug got us, but that's just the way things go sometimes. All right, here's a question from the Good Doctor. How safe are your homes in severe weather? Can you order homes that include alternative energy sources?
Yeah, great question, Dr. Rebecca. So we don't want to meet a lot of different codes with different grades of product. Our products meet all the national code, including hurricane ratings. On the roof pitch, we're flat on the roof because we stack them. So we will have a roof in a suitcase, believe it or not, that can be carried by one person, that can be put up in about half an hour. And it's a very slight pitch for mild weather, and you will need a steeper roof for more inclement weather. And the second question has evaded me now because it's gone off the screen, so I can't remember what that was.
There it is. So can you order these homes that include alternative energy sources? Is what it was.
Absolutely. We're looking at that. We future-proof the product somewhat. When the roof unpacks, we leave a space in there so that we can add solar panels. And we do get a lot of questions about off-grid. I like those very much. I think that the casita on a trailer that we're developing now will give us some of those off-grid and sort of greater sustainability solutions. I think solar is really the big one. We'll have a charging port for electric cars. Solar is really the big one, but it's a tough one to crack. The panels really don't have the energy density that they need to have. I don't see anything on the horizon, but fingers crossed. Humans are very smart, and if we can have a breakthrough there, I think solar is the way to go.
Sure. And I know, Dr. Reynolds, you had a couple other questions specifically to plumbing and some other things. We will answer those on Wednesday because we will be looking at the product on Wednesday. So make sure you tune in Wednesday. I will put a note to make sure we ask those questions. All right. George Ryman's also joining us from comfortable Phoenix, Arizona. We're down to the last few minutes here, Paolo, so just bear with me. I just want to, this is a long one. You almost have to put your hands up and hang on. We're not going to read this, but Titus, he's been in the housing, the affordable housing expert for 40 years, and he's written affordable loan programs for Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, and he was at the Las Vegas show 2020 and very impressed. So if you guys don't know each other, maybe this is an opportunity for you guys to chat a little bit. So needs to meet FHA, VA, Fannie Mae, and Freddie Mac is what he's saying. The codes applied to your product.
Yeah, hi, Titus. Please do feel free to reach out to me after the show. We'd love to speak with you some more, along with some of our engineering team. I'm not sure about the specifics on some of those codes, but the goal is to one-stop shop. That we will meet all those codes, and some of those codes. I think the casita is a true. I mean, it's right around 400 square feet. And there are laws that say, if you're over 400 square feet, it's one thing, and if you're under 400 square feet, it's another thing. So, if you have a product line that amounts to one SKU, you can't be both. But as we roll out the different sizes, we'll be able to address that particular issue. But yeah, we do pay attention to all the different codes.
All right. Thank you for that question. Greg Ugaldi, how do you handle workforce development? This is a great question for a factory owner.
That is an absolutely great question, Greg. And I've been in a lot of factories as a licensor. This is my first time standing up a factory that we operate. So I'm getting an education as well. And of course, we have hired some excellent people. But I can answer some of your questions very specifically. When we started production, we have over 200 people now. That factory one is going up to about 350 people. And we had to throw dozens and dozens of people at it. So we used, these agencies to get warm bodies in and sort of throw them at the wall. And I can tell you the first week looking out at that factory was disturbing because nobody knew what they were doing. And we also had not the highest quality of people. So we did one thing we did was, of all things, and I recommend that anybody does this, put a Craigslist ad out of all things, and then our plant manager would have an open house once a week, very early, as a screening, one single screening method, and we get really good people coming in, onboarding, and I guess we're doing a good job because those people are staying with us and they're recommending their friends, and as we know, you tend to hang out with, you are who you hang out with, and
that's right.
Those guys that are staying in, they're hanging out with good guys and they're bringing good guys. But we do things beyond that. We were doing lunches once a week for the whole team, the factory side and the office side. We have a mini mart. They get $4 a day. The big one is, and I'm really breaking news here, we're going to give everybody in the company, the office side already has it, is stock options with a 3-year granting schedule, 3-2-1 granting schedule, actually. And that's going to be massive. Imagine you're a factory worker. Nobody's ever given you stock options, but we're a startup. The stock valuation is exploding, so it's even more meaningful. And if I can just be immodest for the company, Porsche Consulting has been in as really development partners with us, really amazing. They said they've never seen buy-in like they see at Boxable. But basically, we're regular guys. We talk to them like regular guys. We talk to them very respectfully, and the relationship goes two ways. And then folks in the office side, we sponsor. We have one lady that we're sponsoring her college for accounting. We have another guy we're sponsoring, one or two now for engineering college degree. And these are not expensive things in the scheme of things. Mm-hmm. We have a credit card with a big thumbs up that says good idea, and it's got $20 on it. And during those monthly or weekly lunches where everybody gets together, Alexis, literally on a bullhorn says, you had this idea, there you go. What does that do for him? What does that do for his peers? We have also hats and jackets that are graded like Karate Kid's belts. When you're a little kid, you went to karate and you're always very envious of the guy right. with the belt above you. So we have uniforms. So we really take it very seriously, and we're very sincere about creating a happy workforce for business reasons, but also just because we're human beings. So we work very hard at it.
Well, we appreciate it. All right, this is the last question. Let's see if we can keep it to a quick answer. It's never easy with Henry Mickelberg. His question is, how did you go about extracting the bad stuff to learn from?
Wow. That's a great question. I'm going to look up erstwhile in the dictionary. But yeah. Like I said, I think it took about a year. And then just fixing the problems was like, I don't know if any of your audience remember the old video game of Frogger, where there's a frog trying to run.
Frogger.
So Frogger or something like that. He's trying to run across the road, and he's got to hop back and forth so he doesn't get hit by a bus. And product development in this space, it's a great question, has been much the same. That you think you have an answer to something, and then some effing regulation comes up and you don't have the answer and you have to go back. And then weave in all of these things together. Yeah, and we're not at the end of it. Now that we're live, we're really facing the regulations. So, it's a challenge, and it's massively rewarding.
For sure. All right, Paolo, we are out of time, but we have to do our drawing for the International Builder Show 2022 giveaway. You ready for this? You ready for this? Look at this. We got 15 entries. If you have already won, we will redraw again. If you are on the Dave Cooper live team, we will redraw again, just to let you know. And if you don't need the ticket, just let us know, and we will redraw it again at another time. All right, here we go, Paolo. Let's see.
Let's go.
Who's going to be the winner?
That's a lot of good-looking people.
Isn't it? A lot of good-looking people. Carson Holmquist is the winner.
Is that rigged?
Huh?
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. So listen, Carson Holmquist from Stream Logistics. I actually think this is great because, Carson is one of our sponsors. We are going to do a redraw so somebody else can win from Carson, because I know Carson's already probably going to be there. So we're not going to do that. But what are the odds of that? Let's do it again. Dun, dun, dun. We got more tickets coming up from another sponsor too, which is exciting. Oh, come on. Greg Ugaldi, the immediate past chairman of the NAHB. He can't win. Man, watch this. It's going through everybody.
But the odds are significantly improving for the others.
They are significantly improving.
This is a good thing.
Wow. How did that happen again? As you can see, it's not me randomly doing this.
No, of course not. He's a double winner.
He is a double winner. We'll just have to keep going until it happens. Sarah Elliott. How about that? Well, congratulations, Sarah. I hope you're excited about winning the International Builder Show ticket, and we will reach out to you. You can send me a private message if you would. I will connect you with the folks at the National Association of Home Builders. How about that? You had 3 chances to win today. 3 chances to win. Sarah, please let everybody know who you are and what you do in the comments as well. Our show is all about networking and coming together. So please let us know who you are, and we will make sure that you get your International Builders Show ticket. So how do you like that there, Paolo? You never know. That's how random it is, right?
Right, absolutely.
I start sweating after a while. I'm like, oh my goodness, what if it keeps picking the same people over and over again? I didn't make the program. Anywho, I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. Well, listen, everybody, we appreciate you joining us today. We will be live with Boxable again Wednesday, but this time inside on the manufacturing floor, giving all of you an inside peek of the production line. We were there once before, and there was nothing going down the production line. But now there's product going down the production line and out the door, and I'm super excited to bring that to everybody. You got any last words for us there, Paolo?
No, I think just I really enjoyed talking with the viewers, and just thanks to everybody for tuning in, and thank you, Dave, as well. It's great to see you again.
Yeah, well, it's great to see you again as well. Don't go anywhere. I'll come back to you after the outro, Paolo. Everybody else, we will see you Wednesday at 1 p.m. with our live Boxable inside peak tour of the factory under production. We'll see you soon. Bye now.